You alive now?
Hey y'all, we are preparing Welcome back, everybody. It's your girl, Lily Mae.
Amber J.
And we are back with MBG Speaks 101.
Season 2.
Brown Love. Whoa. So I know everybody's wondering what Brown Love is all about. What have you ladies been up to? But as always, we strive to first inform and then educate. So we want to take you back to season 1 and just kind of give you a little recap. In season 1, we talked a lot about bridging the gap amongst agencies, businesses, communities. We talked about Brown Girls Wall Street. Oh God, what else?
MBG meets the gents. Talked about the entertainment. Had plenty of guests from rappers to poets to singers. Oh,
we did have rappers and singers,
yes.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, we had a lot going on season 1. And it was just an introduction into us, into who we are, into what we do, what the platform is, and all of that. And it was a good season.
Exactly. So, season 2 is going to be interesting. We are going to talk about relationships. And you guys, I know you're like, oh Lord, no. We're going to talk about relationships in a variety of aspects. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about how the way you were raised, your upbringing, your parents' child rearing practices, the way your parents loved on you or the lack thereof. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about online dating. God, Amber, what else? We're going to talk about love in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. Men hurt, women hurt.
Exactly. We're going to talk about the old hurt and how it impacts the way you think now. And yes, we're going to go back to slavery. And I know people get mad when we do that, but we're going to go back there. So there's a lot going on. And I don't really know where to begin because we've been talking about this thing for a long time. Amber and myself, we get into heated discussions with a couple of other young ladies about love and relationships. From being a late teen to being an old bloomer, I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it alone. But anyway, let's jump into Brown Love. And guys, let me tell you, this is the greatest thing. Some of you may not remember this name, but those of you that do, you will love it. Dana Dane, legendary hip-hop star, and his wife kicked off this season of MBG Speaks 101 with their episode on our weekly podcast, which airs on Saturdays at 12 noon on Spreaker, Sipping Tea with MBG. They talk about their journey to Brown Love. And if you have never heard a hip-hop love story, you need to go back and listen to that September 23rd episode of Sipping Tea with MBG on Spreaker 12 noon. Shout out to Storm Talk 365, Storm Talk 24/7. So Amber, what is brown love?
Oh my gosh, brown love. From my end, we're going to attack it personally and romantically. Brown love, first of all, is just not associated with just brown, the word. Of course, we're motivational brown girls, so brown is all shades for us in our definition. But personally, love has to start with you first. It has to start with you first. You can't ask for certain love if you don't know what type of love you want. You can't defend love if you can't defend your own love. It starts with you, starts within, which means it's going to cause, for some, as we would say, self-reflection and asking those hard questions of what is it that I want? What is it? Not necessarily what's wrong with me, but why is it that I'm repeating the same relationship type or attracting the same woman or man, etc. And having that mature conversation with yourself and start working on the hurts. The hurts are never easy to heal. It's like picking at the wound, and of course, the inside is still raw, but you
put a Band-Aid on.
Yeah, and don't really clean it. When you heal yourself, you're getting into the infection of the hurt, and you're cleaning it out thoroughly so it can heal within out.
Ooh, but
sounds tough.
Burn?
Yeah, it'll burn. You gonna run from it and everything, but that's the reality of it. You cannot ask for something that you don't know what you want, nor are open or ready to receive. So that's love personally. Self-love is always, and then if you don't know, start researching. What is self-love? Everybody's self-love is different. There's a unhealthy way and a healthy way. Self-love is learning you, all about you. But just take yourself out on a date. What you like on a date, do for yourself. Send yourself some flowers, etc., etc. Go to spas by yourself. Enjoy company alone.
And I can attest, she's not telling you anything that she has not taken part in. I like self-disclosure, but this is a 50 disclosure. So, Amber does not mind going to a spa. Like, she will go in a minute, and she will go find that good old discount and that good old coupon. I know that's right. But, I absolutely agree. If you don't know what makes you feel good, and we're going to leave it at self-love, we ain't going to go, because, if one of our friends were here, she would really tell you what to do. But, if you don't know what self-love is, definitely, you got to figure out what you like, what you love. But, keep going, girl, because you're doing that thing.
And romantically, going to the romantically part, of course, when I think of the personally and the romantically part, you have to, and I had it in a brand earlier today, but you have to love yourself sufficiently in order to carry it communally. That's probably not even a word, but like in a community love.
Yeah.
So okay, so we get the self-love part out. That's fine. Even if you don't feel like dating, self-love, boom, we got that part. Now romantically, that's you together, whether it is you like another girl or a man, whatever the case may be, you're together. And romantically, this is where the love languages come in. Because what you may think he or she may know how to love, that ain't their reality. So you have to learn each other's love languages. If you don't like to be bothered at 5 o'clock, then be bothered before 5 o'clock. And your partner needs to know that, and vice versa. Learn each other. That's the whole beauty in a relationship, in love, is you constantly learning each other. And the learning never stops. So, suggest things. Now, if you got a bald head, and he or she ain't willing, then you gonna have to execute front door stage right.
We are not throwing shade.
But if you have somebody that's willing to learn you and learn themselves and come together and form this heart, this whatever it is, then of course it's gonna be some trial and error.
True.
So if you like to be taken out at 5 o'clock on Fridays to Copperhawk of the short pump, and his pockets ain't like that, hey base, go ahead and download the Groupon app and let's make it happen. Or maybe he might suggest, I can't afford Copperhawk right now, my situation, my pockets ain't right. But whatever you want to eat on the menu, let me go ahead and Kroger now and get it, cook it, and present it that way.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily a restaurant but it's the thought behind you make it work. Now, if you bougie, you just have to be bougie by yourself. Cause it's limits to this thing. Cause some men will do all, and it's not enough, and vice versa, it's not enough. And you have to know your limits, what's acceptable, what's not. If you real up here, high maintenance, come down a little bit. I know there's some non-negotiables in there, but come down a little bit. As they say, what's the term that they use in church? Don't be so holy that you know earthly good.
Yeah, child.
Come down a little bit. But that's my take and trust.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, I had to learn for myself. So we never say what we haven't gone through or currently going through or know other. It's all experience. That's what it is. So that's my take on personally romantically.
Ooh, child.
I know that was a lot. But
Y'all know she like this topic because y'all know Amber don't talk. So she feeling this thing. Wow. Okay. So for me, I'm supposed to give you the aspect of love from biblical and familial.
Don't even go to Corinthians.
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not.
Because we're gonna leave Corinthians out.
Yes.
I mean, some people out here Bible scholars, little Bible, little God, and that's all good. But that is a played verse. I'm sorry, it's played. It is played.
So
just keep it real.
We're gonna work backwards.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you love from a familiar perspective. So love in the home. You have love from your parents, you have a love from your siblings, and you have a love from the grandparents. Now, the love from grandparents is so unconditional. It is unconditional to a fault. Because one thing about the love from grandparents don't think their grandbabies do any wrong. Trust me, I know. One thing I know, like, if you told my grandmother I did something wrong, God rest her soul, she wouldn't believe you. She would curse you out. And what that does, it does two things. I'm going to give you the positive first. It makes you proud. It makes you happy. It makes you very boisterous. But on the flip side, it makes you very, very, very spoiled. And it also cripples you to a point where when people stop giving to you, whether it's materialistically, whether it's attention, whatever, you cut them off almost immediately. Trust me, I know. So that's that grandparent love. Then, I ain't even going to the parents yet, because Amber know I go in when I talk about the parents. But then you have that sibling love. And the sibling love it's positional and situational because it depends on if you're the younger sibling, whether you're the middle child or you're the eldest. I have to speak from the baby perspective. And that sibling love, from the baby to the elder kids, it's tough because you have watched that child grow, okay? And you see the things that they've done, so you want to mimic those things. But generally, when you're the baby, that elder child loves you to the point where they will let you ride along with them, but they're not going to let you fall off the cliff. They can fall off the cliff, but they don't want you to fall off. Once again, trust me, I know. I'm the baby in the situation. However, the love that is shared between my brother and I is such that, no, I don't agree with what you do. He'll tell you, I don't agree with what she does. But at the end of the day, our love is to the point where we know, I don't care what happens to you. I don't care what's going on. I got your back. What that does when you transfer into a relationship is it gives you a fighter spirit. Mm-hmm. It makes you fight through the toughest of times, but it don't make you no fool, though. But I'm going to leave that right there. Now, this is the part that messes a lot of you people up. And I say you people. The love of parents. You have a mother's love, you have a father's love, and you have that authoritative love. And I speak from authoritative love because that's all I know. I need to help you understand. Authoritative authoritative love, which is synonymous with that authoritative parenting, that's the love with explanation. That's the love that you get. But if discipline accompanies that love, it's explained. So what that means is your parents love you, and while they beating your tail because you bad, they telling you, this hurts me more than it hurts you. And I'm like, Mama, you're lying. This does not hurt you. Because see, I got beat with the Board of Education. So we have to really understand that love from parents, love from our siblings, and love from our grandparents greatly impacts our relationships. And for me, and you know I'm big on this, for me, the love that came from my dad from that side of the realm is so strong that I sit around and pretty much I'm judgmental because I'm like, he don't do what my daddy did, out. No, that ain't what you, that's not what men do, out. But that's just what it is. So I saw a man who set the bar so high that my standards and my expectations are very high. The ironic thing is materialistically and financially, no. But I expect the things that I saw from a man and a woman who worked together for, 20 plus years, even till death, and in sickness and in health. And so from the mother's aspect of things, the interesting thing is my mom was the more disciplinarian. My dad was the nurturer. So what that did to me in a relationship essence is I'm in control of this ship.
Yeah.
I run it. Like, I'm gonna let you be a man, but if you're not the man I think you need to be, I might step in and be like, all right, this is how we do this. So, and the cycle continues. So what I'm saying to you is this. I'm not saying that you can't get the same thing in single parent homes, whether you're raised by your mom, whether you're raised by your dad, whether you're raised by your grandparents. But what I'm saying is we have to start looking at how we were raised. We have to start looking at the things that were told to us in our houses. Because if all you were ever told is that your daddy was a low-down, dirty dog, you're going to either resent women or you're going to mistreat women because, well, if you're a man, because you heard your mama talk about that like your daddy, or if you're a female, you might seek out low-down, dirty dogs because you never knew what your dad was like. And the reality is that when I look at people that have come from single mother homes versus single father homes, and yes, we talked about that last season, there are, I think, about 8% of children under 18 in the United States living in single father homes. And to be honest, they turn out pretty daggone well. And I think that's something that we need to look into. But we're going to keep it with relationships. But that familiar love is major. Familiar love will definitely structure how you enter into relationships and how selective you are. Now, I'm going to honor my 50s wish, and I will not assess Corinthians. But,
go ahead and assess it.
Well, no, because what I'm going to do is I want to give a commentary about it. And I want to say that love is productive. Love is gentle. Love is very, 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 very unconditional from the biblical perspective. Because if you think about it, you got to turn another cheek, right? But how far does that go? You see what I'm saying? So, but we like,
is there levels to this unconditional?
Well, not biblically. Not biblically it's not. And so I think what we have to really assess is whose Bible are we going by? Yeah. Let's keep it real. Interpretation, perception, and reception are all indicators of how you step into a relationship. Because the way you perceive, receive, and interpret love may be totally different from your partner or from the person that you want to engage in a relationship with. And with that being stated, I mean, Amber, what do you think? What do you think about love nowadays in a time when everybody is putting on the buck for social media? Like, what are we doing?
A lot of times, people putting on for attention. What is not reality is somebody constantly posting about their day with their bae every second, every minute, every hour. That's not reality. If you do that every day, all day, every second, in the minute, you need a job. That's not reality. That's not that's not a rational relationship. That would get on my nerves.
Well, maybe that's your perception.
And that'll get on my nerves. That'll get on my nerves. And you constantly post, it's, we could just be real. You don't want nobody all up on you in your face all day long.
No, that's not my
That would get on your nerves. You'd be like, oh, somewhere, go to the store or something. But that's not reality, and it's sad because TV has become reality, and TV is just as fake as it want to be.
Very much so. But let me ask you, okay, so we're talking about love and relationships. So let's talk about the relationship aspect. Do you feel that social media has truly caused people to lose touch with how to engage in a relationship or even how to ask someone out? And the reason I'm asking that is because I was informed that I was in a relationship that I had no idea I was in. And because I wasn't communicating, I was saying, well, we need to go our separate ways. And I was like, huh? I didn't even know we were in a relationship.
First of all, I'm Team Pisces, so I'm Pisces. So for us, you got to come out your mouth and say, I am your man, or I am your girl, or something. Because other than that, it'd be like, well, he ain't see or she ain't say it. So
Exactly.
What is really going on? But yes, social media has distorted. Back in the day, where there was no social media, like talking about it, you had the chat lines and stuff like that. Chat lines. and then you hit chat lines of getting a little private message, all that stuff, and then be like, oh, where you at? Oh, I'm over here. Oh, you ain't too far. 10 minutes away. Let's meet at a local spot and meet up that way. And that was kind of like the thrill of it. You don't know this person. You don't know if you talk to, you might be getting catfish on. We don't know. And then the funny part of it was, if you see the person standing there in the description, you can ride on by. You ain't feeling what you're looking at. Versus now, people catfish, and you on Facebook. I don't know. They might be, but now you can hide and be whoever you want to be behind a screen.
That's true.
And it depends on how long you play.
And we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, because how long you play, and then you get Dev and them from catfish, and then you spot these blown.
You know what? The way we be acting, we might be have our own catfish. We have to call it something else.
But it has a story because there's really no fun. And I mean, it's the get to know part, but it was like mystery.
True.
It was mystery.
And you know something? Everybody likes a little mystery. I think everybody likes a thrill. They like that mystery. But guys, if you are watching and you want to call in, you have some input about relationships, you can call us 804-915-5202. But we have to address our social media. And James Big Jimmy Turner, comedian, asked, if someone has a learning disability, would you be patient in them learning you? Wow. I don't know why Amber looking at me. Y'all know what my career is.
I ain't even gonna say that.
Y'all know what my career is. So that's why Amber's looking at me. The reality is this.
Sorry.
It for me, and I'm gonna be honest with you. For me, it would be very, 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 very likely that I would struggle because I can't even get it out right now because that is just I just want to bust out laughing. But I'm an exceptional education teacher. Okay, I deal with learning disabilities, emotional disturbances, autism. I deal with the whole spectrum, the whole gamut. And when I get home in the evenings, I am exhausted. So no, I don't think as long as I'm in this profession that I will be able to come home and deal with somebody else because it's emotionally taxing. I get attached to people very quickly. I want to help everybody, and I'm constantly told you can't save everybody. So for me, I could not be patient having to deal with an adult because my philosophy is this. I can help the young babies, but I can't deal with no old food. Straight up. And that comes straight from my mom. So with that being stated, in a relationship, no. As a friend, of course. But in a relationship, no. Because I already know. And the other part of that is Amber and I talked about it. I watched my mama take care of my daddy for 5 years in the home with Alzheimer's. That is bigger than a learning disability. No. Amber,
Yeah.
what about you?
I like to say I'm understanding, but I think it depends on the severity. I think it depends, for me, it's the severity of mental health. Because if you paranoid schizophrenia and you slip up and don't take no medicine, I'm gonna call Arizona, I'm gonna say Eastern State or Central State several times on you. I'm just keeping it real. It's just the severity. I mean, I do have a background in psychology, so I am understanding of that aspect. But it's just something I'm not gonna be able to deal with emotionally or mentally.
Yeah.
You know, especially trying to constantly tell the wrong person, look, you need to take your medication and you be spazzing out when you're down. And then you're wrong, so you can either take the medicine or not, and you give the excuse, oh, make me feel some way, well, let's go to the doctor. Oh, I don't feel like going to the doctor. It's all an excuse because you feel like you want to self-medicate in some way, form, or fashion. And that's not conducive to a relationship, especially when the partner is trying to be helpful. So for me, it's the severity of, mental health. Now, if you got ADHD or ADD, I can work with that. Because I can, if you on one subject and you fly off, give me 5, I'm going to say, okay, now, as you say on this, and then you will come right on back.
Yeah, that's me. I know. ADHD I can deal with because I know that's me.
I work, I work with stuff like that. I've been in the facility, in the system, where I dealt with adults with ADHD or ADD or some form of hyperactive, some type of syndrome, something. Whether it was they were faking it or not, I dealt with it. So for me, that's fine. But like I say, the severity and you schizophrenic, or it's on the extreme spectrum of that pendulum, that's going to hurt my brain as well as causing emotion. Because I don't want to see my partner struggle like that.
That's true.
And then you have to be upfront with yourself. If you know ain't right, just say, look, I got some problems. At least give me the choice. Don't just let's get in a relationship and then
oh my God,
then 5 months down like you spaz out, and then the next one like, what happened? Oh no, I just ain't take my medicine. Medicine, girl. What medicine? Then I see y'all look at your medicine. I'm like, oh wait a minute, player. Wait a minute. This is not how this works. we didn't discuss this. What's going on?
Woo! Listen, guys, this is MBG Speaks 101. I'm your girl, Lily Mae. This is Amber J. But we give you information. We give you education. And before I reference these 2 young ladies, I want to say that one thing about Motivational Brown Girls is, number 1, it's never our intent to offend. We cannot control how you receive our opinions, the information we're giving, or anything like that. So if we say something that offends you, by all means, please call us, 804-915-5202, and state your opinion, because the reality is this. Amber and I think differently. And the reality is that that's what makes this conversation so crazy. But the funny thing is that we think so differently that we think similar. Because at the end of the day, some things, we both like, that is a non-negotiable. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, I'm going to go to Fantasia and Antonia, Toya Carter, y'all know that's Lil Wayne ex, to talk a little bit about love, because a lot of you may not know, they have written books. And see, there are some of you out there that feel like because Fantasia was illiterate, she had a baby out of wedlock and all this and that, she can't provide a reputable or valuable aspect on love. And then some of you think because Toya was associated with Lil Wayne and she had some other dibbly-dabbly encounters that she doesn't know. But let me quote from Fantasia's book, Life is Not a Fairy Tale. First of all, she described growing up in church and spending a great deal of time singing and praising God. But when her brothers left home, that goes back and solidifies what I talked about that sibling love, and left the singing group. She felt alone, and what did she do? She left the church, she left home, and she turned to the world to find something to do. And you know what she said? Boredom will get you in trouble every time, which will lead us to our call to action later in the show. Then she talked about the term hoochie mama. Now let me tell you something. It's interesting that when Fantasia mentioned the term hoochie mama, you know what she said? She said, I would never call anybody a hoochie mama in today's society because that's all I heard growing up from the elders in my community and in my church.
I.e. fast.
Exactly. But what she said was that the reason she operationalized hoochie mama, she wanted people to understand that a hoochie mama is one who uses their body to get what they want from a man, but you end up totally at the mercy of that man. Okay? So some of y'all need to be careful about these. Okay, no, I'm not going to go there because we're not talking about those glossy paper ladies. Okay. So then, Fantasia went to American Idol. Who went with her, Amber?
Her brother, didn't he?
Her brother.
Yeah, her brother.
Her brother. Fantasia was still with her baby father, guys. See, the news didn't want to talk about that. The news wanted to make it seem like Zion was a bastard child and that Fantasia was just a country bumpkin street whore with no morals and values. But guess what? Fantasia was not supposed to get back in the door, but she did. That's because she had that favor. She had that godly love on her side. She had that sibling love at her side. And she had that familial love. So guys, what I need you to understand is that love is what pushed Fantasia to now be a renowned gospel, soul, jazz, R&B. What?
Right.
What? God rest Whitney Houston. So Whitney Houston ain't never did jazz. Fantasia can sing anything, anywhere for anybody. She can sing rock and roll. Y'all ain't know when she auditioned, she sang country, but guess what it all came out of? The self-love that she found, the sibling love that she was given growing up, the familial love that her mother, father, grandmother, and church family gave her, and that biblical love that was always deeply rooted within her. Guys, you cannot have a successful relationship unless you self-love. Amber J told you that, but you might didn't want to hear it. But I'm telling you. Secondly, let's talk about Toya. Toya's book is called Priceless Inspirations. Okay? I'm going to quote Toya to the T. She said, sometimes sex and love have everything to do with each other. Sometimes they don't. So I said, wait a minute. Now, how can they have everything to do with each other? But see, Toya didn't have that biblical foundation that Fantasia had. But what I do believe Toya meant, and see, this is where your interpretation comes in. What I believe Toya meant is that sex and love are associated when you are communing with someone and when you are consummating that love through the sanctity of marriage. But she also was saying that sex and love don't mean nothing if you being mistreated and loved and so-called loved at the same time. And this is the end thing that she said, and this sticks out. You cannot really love someone if you don't trust them. So if you checking his phone, hacking into his Facebook, changing his passwords, checking his Instagram, grabbing him close when y'all walking through the mall because he's looking back to see the next thing, you don't love him.
That shows your insecurity.
Exactly. Because the reality is this. Everybody is curious about something. But how you act on their curiosity is what tells the story. Amber, I don't know where we are in 2017 when we have mothers and daughters sleeping with the same man. What kind of relationship is that?
You usually see that kind of stuff on Lord, but that's real life.
It is. It is. And I'm struggling because I have to look at the products of these affairs. And what happens that we're talking about what is brown love. And the reason we put brown on it because minorities, and I need you guys, we're going to give you a little history lesson. In the history of minorities, and I'm talking about African Americans, Hispanics, love and unity is something that's major. If you guys really want to be honest, Hispanics and African Americans put family at the top of the totem pole. So I don't know what's going on out here in the African American community where we got all these broken homes. I get it when I look at it from a government perspective. But when it comes to love, historically, in the African American family, what are you doing? What are we doing? Because the reality is that we love unconditionally. And you know we love unconditionally when you have family members that they're cousins and they brothers and sisters at the same daggone time.
That's true.
And you still let that uncle sit at your kitchen table across from that grown child that you know he abused a long time ago. This is real, guys. So in order for us to truly have this season on brown love, we have to really, truly jump into it and talk about the history and talk about the hurts and talk about all of the nasty, low-down things that have been done in our village that has broken us. But the reality is, how are we going to adjust and readjust to the brokenness? Because this is the thing. You can't help anybody until you heal yourself.
That's very true.
And stop contradicting your philosophy. Stop it. Because this is the thing. I can't help you if I'm judging you. I can't help you or love you without having an open mind. Toya said it. You can't love somebody if you don't trust them. You can't love somebody if you constantly judging them. You cannot. You cannot have a relationship with somebody that every time turn around you're talking about what they did wrong. You can't never see what they did good. When you lay down with them, they did something good. So my thought is compliment them on something. Find something. Hey, thank you for waking up, taking the trash out. It's the little things, guys. We are looking for, I don't know, what are they looking for?
I don't even know. I don't know. I know. Avoid the veil.
And where did it come from?
Something was missing. Something was missing. I can attest, I came from a single parent home. My father was in the house. So the void that I tried to fill was where my daddy is.
Okay.
Why did my daddy leave me? What was wrong with me? Why is there every time I call him, I talk to him, he seems like it's my fault that I'm calling and talking to him? What's really going on? I didn't find out the real deal until a year before he passed. And he was well into his, it was terminal then, his cancer. And when I started to say, I had to spaz out on my dad. I really did, for him to get it. And he got quiet. He was like, "Why didn't you know you felt the way?" I was like, "Well, you don't want to be disrespectful. This whole honor your mother and father thing." And when I just told him what it was, he was like, "You know what? I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much it hurt," because he was in his own thing. And he's like, "I shouldn't have done that. I didn't have the best example either because my father did the same thing."
Wow.
It ain't right, But that's usually how the cycle trickles down. If your parents, if your parents wasn't very affectionate towards you, 9 times out of 10, something in their household happened to why they're not affectionate. I mean, I'm just giving an example. I mean, to be honest, because we, honest. I mean, we talking about us and y'all. My mother's not really an affectionate person, but I had to find out as to why. Household didn't show.
Okay.
So sometimes it's about having those, as an adult, it's about having those discussions. And be like, you know what, when I was growing up, Dad, you really was just a disciplinarian. You boom, 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 boom. And it's like, well, when I grew up, my dad was the same way. Not thinking, maybe I need to change my approach on my kids because of the effect. We don't think that way. We just do what we see. And because it worked for us and we turn out like we think it's gonna happen for our kids, but we have the same DNA, but not really. Just because it worked for you at that time frame, in that generation, that time period, doesn't mean it's gonna work in this generation.
Exactly. And that's something that we really have to work on. Because what I find is that, and guys, full self-disclosure, y'all know I'm not from Richmond. I'm a Danvillian. So my mother is very close to me right now. So I'm going to say this because I know she's not going to run on this camera and act crazy because she's very close to this recording. But we have, I'm not going to say arguments because I ain't arguing with her. I ain't that crazy because, see, I got them whipping, so I already know. We have heated discussions. We have had heated discussions because now, even at her age, and I'm going to tell you this, she's of the traditionalist generation. That's the generation before the baby boomers. The generation who said, yes, sir, master, no, sir, master. Well, that's not her. But she used to have an issue with understanding the fact of why young people are so open and flamboyant in the LGBT community. And I used to be like, Mom, but you work with these people and you got friends, But to her, back then, it wasn't like it is now. Like you didn't have cross-dressers for real back then. But all it took was constant conversations. Every time she said something, I'd be like, Mom, but you got to look at it like this. So now, when we have the conversations, it's not heated. It's a conversation. Like we really, and she'll ask the question, well, Lil, yada, yada, yada. And this is what I need you to understand. And I think I posted this earlier on social media. Stop trying to force your way of thinking on other people. One day, this generation will get it. Now, we might be dead and gone when they get it, but one day they will get it. I got it. And I strayed away from it. Because if anybody out there watching and listening, whatever, know Lily Mae walked to the beat of Lily Mae on drum. You don't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I need to do. If I falter, okay, I'm coming back.
Right.
But you guys have to stop. And right now, I'm preaching to my elders. Stop speaking eternal damnation on these babies' lives. Do you realize that when you speak to these kids the way some of you guys speak to them, you are no better than Donald Trump calling them sons of bitches. You are no better than Willie Lynch teaching the African-American woman how to tear down the African-American man. You can get the same message across to a person in love. Just because somebody talked to you like a dog and fussed at you all day, every day while you were a child, that's not how you talk to people. I just told Amber and a couple of other people this the other day. I'm loud. I'm forceful in my speech. I talk with my hands. Before I go into a situation where I'm talking to people that I don't know, I will say, just to let you know, I'm a loud person. I talk with my hands, but I do it with a smile. Why? Because at that point, they're like, okay, that's just who she is.
Perception. Because you could went in there and they'd be like, "Jess, she just want loud and black woman."
Exactly. Guys, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about brown love. And the reality is this. We touched on child rearing, and this is our wind-up phase. Amber, I want to talk about Sunday dinner because you know, you witnessed it. You see how we get down.
Yeah.
So, in the last 15 minutes, we do a call to action. Because the thing is this. MBG is not here to solve the world's problems. And for some reason, people feel like just because you have a platform like this, that you gotta give a solution. No. How can we solve the world's problem when we still working through? We only give you what's been poured into us. As we learn, we teach. You can't teach if you've never been taught.
That sounds like a village mentality to me.
You can't send for somebody if you don't know what it is to be sent for. Because if you send for them, you might send for them in the wrong manner and they might reject the hand that you offer up. See, let me take you back. Let me take you back to Abraham and Moses. Okay? And let's talk about how they were presented with the covenants. See, these are the things that we have to reference, but we don't have to preach to people to get them to receive what we're saying. You can teach the same tools and techniques and strategies in love that you can teach in discipline and beating the heck out of somebody. For me, I needed a whipping because I was a bad kid. But all kids don't respond to whippings because there's a difference between a whipping and a beating. There's a difference between a beating and abuse. You whip in love and explain. Now, you got some of you overly conscious, super woke people that's going to say, well, whipping and stomping that the slave master did. Shut up. If some of you out there were whipping your kids, they wouldn't keep getting shot down in the street. Now, let's be real about it. Yes, we have bad cops, but we got some bad, we got a whole lot of bad kids too. So guys, I say all that to say this. Reinitiate Sunday dinner. Y'all think soul food is just a movie. Do you guys realize all of the African American TV shows where in some scene they sit down? Matter of fact, let me bring it back. Y'all gonna watch Empire tomorrow night. Cookie and Lucius are not together. But don't they dine together?
Yeah.
They might fight at the table.
They sure do.
But you know something? Y'all need to reinvent these Sunday dinners and stop lying to your kids. Mothers, stop telling your kids lies about their daddies just because their daddy don't want to be with you anymore.
Ouch.
You are ruining any chance of your child, whether son or daughter, having a fruitful relationship because you lied to them, because you want to be with that man that you laid down with, knowing he was no good and he didn't really want to be with you. He just wanted your goods and your don't, so you laid down with him. Cut it out. Fellas, stop poking everything that walk by you with a Cardi B or a Nicki Minaj. Because the reality is this. Y'all transferring all these spirits. And then when you're old, raggedy, and sagging, then you want a good woman. We don't want you. I'll befriend you. I will talk to you. I will give you some guidance. I don't want you.
Put a color purple on me.
I'm just saying. At the end of the day, we got to bring back Sunday dinner. We have to bring back that neighborhood love. Because, see, I'm sick of y'all talking about snitches get stitches. Cut it out. Cut it out. That's prison mentality.
Yeah. It is. It is. snitching isn't bad if you doing it for safety.
If you want to live.
Yeah, if you want to live.
You got murderers walking around here. Some of y'all in relationships. Some of y'all in love with murderers. All because somebody scared they don't get stitches. You don't get stitches when you dead, babies. Well, you do, because you know they cut that wide and then they sew you back up when they do an autopsy.
But you gone.
But you gone.
Yeah, you gone from the body then.
And you know, we trying to put some humor to it, because this is real stuff. And what you don't understand is that neighborhood love and that community building, that will help relationships. When you got neighbors feuding all the time, your kids got to go to school together. So you and mama and their mama feuding, the kids beefing when they come to school, they fighting in front of me. I got to break the fight up. Then the parents come up there and want to fight and curse them.
I got an example of neighbor love.
Mm-hmm.
Couple months back, I'm laying in my bed, chilling, minding my own business. I get this hard knock at the door. I'm like, oh my God, it sounds like the police at the door because it was banging that hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's an older lady that lives next to me. She has no family near.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's living with her. She's about late 70s, 80s. Still getting around. She walks in the mailbox. She's still doing her thing like she's 20-something.
Mm-hmm.
Just so happens this day, she was getting herself ready for church and she failed. Her hip gave out on her. So she's down on the ground. So when the church people come, they're knocking on the door and they can hear on the other side saying, I can hear you, but I can't come to the door. I failed. Mm-hmm. Then she by herself. So they come knocking on my door. There's people across from me as well. They knock on my door. So me having a rearing for the elderly, because because I come from baby boomer parents. I'm knocking on the door, asking if she's okay, and she's saying I can hear you, but I can't get to the door. So of course I try to reach back door. It wouldn't open for me. Mm-hmm. So eventually I had to call 911 and get ambulatory services, or when the fire department came out, and thank God they didn't have to break no door down, because when they went to check the same back door I checked, it miraculously opened because it was locked when I checked it. And granted, she wasn't in harm's way or anything, but she wanted to get checked out because that was unnormal. That was the norm for her falling like that. And it just made me think like, wow, now if had nobody been home to call or anything like that, it just reminded me of the whole neighborhood thing. Like it's no problem with you looking out for one another. Yes, you got the people in the neighborhood that you might back in the day say, don't go over so-and-so house because their uncle or somebody. You got that. But, for me it was like, that's still good that people were able to help out, a neighbor. Because sometimes that's needed. Even if you pass somebody by, hey, how you doing? And they're still in your same complex or maybe next door, you recognize that face just in case somebody comes by and say, hey, have you seen so-and-so? Well, no, the last time I saw him, it's not like you mind your business. You just got to be aware of your surroundings. Nobody's saying, back in the day, bring a pie. Hey, I just want to welcome to your neighborhood. You still have that?
Because I'd be the one to take something to your house.
Still have that, but nobody's asking. It's just being aware of your surroundings and just bringing that community piece back into what has been brought out. I'm probably reaching when I say this, but Mosby Court and Gilpin, if we had a community piece and people weren't so afraid, all that stuff will cut out.
Yeah.
Or cut down.
I agree. And I piggyback on that, Amber, because guys,
it ain't gotta be Sunday then. You can do Wednesday then. Y'all
you sure could
for Empire.
Empire Day. You sure could. The reality is we have to implement these things. And that's the other thing. If you are a single individual, you and your other single friends get together and have a Sunday dinner. Matter of fact, have a Saturday evening get together and have these conversations.
Yes.
I mean, everybody going out looking for this, and you looking for a jump off, and you looking for a hookup. Why not hook up with your friends and have a real conversation about, you know what? what can we do to be better us's so that we can have a we? Because the reality is that we all have something to give to one another. And I think that's the issue. Like, we too busy trying to find the perfect mate instead of making ourselves the perfect mate to be found.
That's good right there. That was a good word right there. That was really good.
I'm mad you got to know it was so old. But yeah. Amber, let's wind it up.
Again, this is MBG Speaks 101 Season 2, where it's Brown Love. This whole season is about relationships. All kinds, from different perspectives. We got so many guests and great topics throughout the season. And the men will have the opportunity to speak. They will, because next week we're going to talk about being single in your 30s. Yeah.
But on the 30 though.
Yeah. But the men going to speak because it's needed. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows women have that same.
Yeah. So men, if you feel like you fit the mold and you feel like you one of the few good men, hit us up. Motivational Brown Girl.
And be honest. Don't hit us up and be like, I want a good woman and you dog. Don't do that. Just saying. But anyway, it's Motivational Brown Girls with a Y and a Z. You can catch them on Instagram, motivational_brown_girls with a Y and a Z. Check us out every Saturday at noon. Spreaker app, download it. www.spreaker.com. That's speaker with the R.
Sipping
tea. My show, Sipping Tea with MBG. Not the regular type of tea. You might have to add some Crown and Hennessy and all kinds of stuff. All kinds of tea. It be conversations get real.
It really does. It really does. True. And shout out to Adam the editor. Shout out to our Chief Information Officer, Adam the editor. He hails from Michigan. And he is unable to be here with us, but he is with us in the social media spirit. He is making sure that everything is running smoothly. So we definitely, guys, and understand this. Motivational Brown Girls is not mutually exclusive. For those of you that don't understand what that means, mutually exclusive means we exclude everybody. We're not mutually exclusive, meaning we are not excluding anybody. We are making sure that we keep open eyes and open minds. It's not our opinion that truly matters. It's the collectivist culture that matters. And what the collectivist culture is, it is a collection of perspectives and worldviews that make the world go round. It's not yours, it's not mine, it's not hers. It's all of our opinions and perspectives that make the world a better place. And I need you to understand that. I need you to feel it. I need you to synthesize it. Because there are too many of us who are entering into bad situations because we don't understand who we are. We're extremely prejudgmental, and we truly don't get where we're going. So guys, it's time for us to wind it on up. Once again, Amber J and I thank you for tuning in. We are Motivational Brown Girls. We will be back next Tuesday, same time, same station.
And as always, MBG listens.
And then we speak. Have a great evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, the mic's down.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Awesome show. Hey, awesome show. Next week, dating in your 30s, online dating, standards, all of that stuff. We're gonna hit it hard. We're gonna hit it hard. So peace and love, everybody, and you will be able to check this episode out on YouTube in the next week or so. Bye.